Be strong.
Well, a very good morning and happy Monday morning, that is, to you guys here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Got a very busy hour for you guys, headed up into 11 o'clock here on the TNC Sport, the throw-in with Justin. And, very, very big weekend coming off of sports, especially in Cincinnati. We'll get a chance to go through all of that here, getting ready for Monday Night Raw. And, kick things off, man. Football is back. I'm excited. It's been, I want to say, since the middle of July that you start thinking that football is here, and you're just twiddling, sitting around twiddling your thumbs. You go through the whole, what team is good, what team is bad, how is your specific team performing, how are they going through, what are the changes they're making, how are they improving their roster. And then it finally comes down. We've been waiting for this for the past couple of weeks, and we have a lot to talk about as well. And I sat here back on Thursday, and I try to give you my picks for this coming up week. And maybe I got a little bit ahead of myself. I'll admit that. Maybe I did. The reason why I say that is because, I was following around. I was listening to a lot of NFL the NFL Network, a lot of ESPN, a lot of sportscasters, journalists that were weighing in their thoughts and their opinions about teams and about positions. And, some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't. And so, I was feeling really confident heading into, Thursday, picking my teams and who I thought was going to win. And, come yesterday, I think this is going to be yet again this year. I feel like every year now is this how it is, but it's any given Sunday. I mean, if you sat there and you watched any football game, from the Bills and the Rams on Thursday, I mean, there was some impressive games. There was games that I thought that was going to be blown out. There was games that I thought was going to be, close, and they weren't. Like, here's a prime example: the 49ers and the Chicago Bears. Bears beat the 49ers 19-10, and you kind of just wonder, okay, well, what happened there? Because I was saying last week that in my books and my analysis, I was saying that the 49ers was going to come in and destroy Chicago. And yet again, Chicago comes out and beats the 49ers by 9 points. Now, I mean, I think one of the questions you dealt with, and I know that there's injuries on the 49ers team. I heard something about Kittle, and we'll probably talk about that in depth a little bit later on this week. But, one of my concerns was heading into Friday was, all right, how well will Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance hold themselves together? The 1-2 punch combination, and if they have Trey Lance as the quarterback the entire time, how long will they hold on to Trey Lance if they're not performing well? Jimmy Garoppolo was one who took the 49ers to the Super Bowl to face the Kansas City Chiefs back about 2-3 years ago. But at the same time, Chicago Cubs, not Chicago Cubs, Chicago Bears are, one of the, this was Justin Fields' second season. This is, right? And similar to Trevor Lawrence over in Jacksonville, this is a season where if you're going to be an NFL quarterback, by starting quarterback or even backup quarterback, you have to perform on your second season. The first season, they throw you out there to the wolves. You get eaten up. You get broken down. You get tormented, right? But majority of the time, you're never going to have a good season. The first year, and then you come back the second year, you got to dominate, right? If you're going to be an NFL, look at Joe Burrow. He got beat up his rookie year, got hurt, had as a matter of fact, had a season not a possible career ending injury, comes back and has a phenomenal year last year. So for Justin Fields, this season means a lot more than probably anyone else, because if he doesn't have a successful year, the chances of him becoming a successful quarterback, or at least getting the opportunity of becoming a successful quarterback, is slim to none. Now, I'm not preaching that that Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears are going to go on any type of rant or any type of run to the postseason, but I mean, did you look at the Packers and Vikings game yesterday? I mean, Aaron Rodgers he has his work cut out for him with these younger receivers. No more Devontae Adams. But I mean, overall, if you're looking at, overall, like you said, any given Sunday, right? Giants beating Tennessee, the Steelers finding a way to pick up a victory, and we'll talk about that one, man. Now, I was very disappointed. My weekend consisted of a few simple things. Now, I got a chance to hang out with my kids, my family a little bit on Saturday. It was a relaxing weekend for me, because it was first weekend of football. I wanted to make sure that I was just hanging around the house, kind of just lurking to see whatever came across that, the news. I was kind of on my, on the phone. I was kind of looking up on the internet. All right, what something exciting is going to come out this week, and I was just kind of feeling that. I was like, all right, I'm going to sit home. The girls came over. We hung out for a day. Then I was like, all right, let's get ready. Kind of slept in. Sunday morning, it ended up waking up just right in time for the Bengals and the Steelers game. Got a chance to watch that, and for the first time, I want to say in nearly almost a year, because other than the Super Bowl, I don't necessarily watch the entire football game. I'll maybe start things off in the first quarter, tune in towards maybe halftime, and then watch the last half of the fourth quarter. But I actually sat down and we watched a good amount of the Bengals and the Steelers game, and that was my weekend. That's all I did this weekend, was relax. All right, I was waiting around for something to happen, and we were surprised. There's some teams that didn't win that we expected them to win. Vikings beating the Packers, the Giants beating the Titans, so forth, and moving on. But any given Sunday, and I think that's something that we have to get comfortable with. I know we used it a lot last year. Hell, I mean, you seen it week in and week out, season in and season out. But it's gonna be it keeps you on your toes. And I think I kind of went into the picking my teams prematurely, and realistically, like, I went in and I gave in my hype last Thursday, and I was so confident this team is gonna win, so confident and that team is gonna win. And I was counting it this morning. Now I'm gonna recount it here. 1, 2. I got 9 so far out of 1. 9 out of 15 games so far. That doesn't include tonight's game, right? That also means, so basically how I do it is last Thursday I picked the teams that I thought was going to win, and if you guys wanted to play along with me, I encouraged it. And I want to hear from you guys how far, if you guys were playing along, did you guys pick the same teams? And if you go, so how far are you, at so far? And out of the 15 games, one of the games were tied. I don't consider that as a win or a loss. Why? I mean, I guess I count in my books as a loss. And so far, I have won 9 games out of the 15 games. I don't think that's too shabby. And then we still have tonight between the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. But overall, very entertaining the weekend when it came down to football. I think it's usually it takes a couple of weeks to get into the swing of how football goes, to kind of see, all right, this team is going to perform well, this team is just not going to win at all this year. So we have a lot, there's a lot going around, um you know over the next few weeks when it comes down for the NFL, and I'm excited. We'll play again here later on this week. Now, here's my schedule for the week. Uh, so I will be here 9 to 11 today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday. I will actually be off on Thursday. I have a couple appointments and a couple things I have to take care of personally, so I will not have a show on Thursday. What I will do is give you my Thursday night pick for Thursday night football on Wednesday, morning when I do the show on Wednesday, and then I'll come back on Friday to give you the rest of my teams. If you guys are, paying attention, like playing along with picking the teams each and every week. So we'll do that. We'll talk about but what I have, and so that's how the week is going to be laid out. How I have the today's show kind of laid out. I got a little bit of everything I wanted to talk about. You know, was I'm gonna save a little bit of high school football until Friday. Want to talk a little bit more about that Friday, because it's not high school football. There's I don't get a chance to get out to many of those games because I work Friday evening. There was a really lot of great games uh, that I wanted to point out. I have a list of them that I can't wait to talk to you about from last week. But I don't know. I kind of want to include all of that into one segment and talk about recap last week and then heading into this week for any games. So if you're a local team and you have you have a team out there, I know um, Steve Barber from Armchair Booking wanted us to follow. I want to think Western Brown, and so we'll be looking into that. And there's a couple other good teams that I've been paying attention to, and any ranked teams in the local area I'll take a look at. So we'll dive into that. We'll later on this week, and we'll talk some high school football. But I definitely want to get into some college football while Cincinnati Bearcats. It wasn't all bad news this weekend. The Bengals lost, and then the Cincinnati Reds, they fall 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, and we'll cover that as well. But the Bearcats also beat the Kennesaw State, just clobber them. First home game of the season, and that's how college is. I'm hoping. I'm excited to get the new NCAA football, top 25 out there. I think it's gonna be a little bit difficult for Cincinnati to get back in the top 25, but I would like to see that happen for them. And but yeah, I mean, a lot of the other things going along in the world of sports. We will talk about WWE as we get ready for Monday Night Raw. Extreme Rules pay-per-view coming up October 8th. We're getting ready for that. First match that I found, first match that really got my attention so far that is scheduled for Extreme Rules. That is Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey after Ronda comes back last week and wins what like a fatal 5-way or elimination, whatever that type of match was. She earns the #1 contender spot for that SmackDown Women's Championship. A couple other things we want to update you about tonight. Here's a big thing I'll talk about a little later on. 3 possible surprises for Monday Night Raw tonight. Obviously, we're expected to see Edge take on Dominic Mysterio tonight. Uh, the Braun Strowman is obviously setting his sights. What's going to be his first biggest battle moving forward with this whole new Triple H era? So we'll talk about that. Talk about some, so give you some MLB updates and talk about some NFL today. So I got a pretty busy show for you guys today. I'm excited to get started. Kind of just looking through here the notes and the news that I've been keeping tabs on, and gosh, NFL. You guys watch the Bengals and the Steelers game, and I think that's my biggest question. Wasn't it was kind of a lackluster. I was kind of lagging around, towards the end of the game. Really, I was sitting at the edge of my seat, got a little bit excited. All right, they could possibly do it. But I've been saying, let's not get too comfortable for where we're at. And I know it's only week 1. I know that there is a lot of football left to be played. But there were some positives, there were some negatives out of that. I want to discuss all of that. But man, I mean, I don't know about you, but I felt a little bit of, hey, this is the typical Bengals. They get you excited for failure. And I wasn't too pleased with their performance. There could have been a lot of work. And I think that's what we're going to be coming back from our first break and talking about. So we're going to be taking a timeout. We're going to get back. We got 2 hours headed up to you, taking you all the way up until 11 o'clock on this fine Monday morning. How are you guys doing out there on a Monday? And let's talk about some Cincinnati Bengals, what they did wrong, what they did great, some highlights and much more coming your way. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Throw In with Justin right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Burrow, step, toss it underneath, catch is made, carrying defenders with him. First is a big addition, fast, physical, brings a lot of juice to the offense. New set of downs, T. Higgins over the middle, big gain for Higgins inside the 35.
Takes it in for a house call.
Burrow delivers to the outside. Jamar Chase turns the corner. He's got that ridiculous speed. 3rd down and 2 at the 45, trying to convert. Burrow has to get rid of it. On the money for Chase. 1st down. In the air, cloudy throughout. It's coming at some point. Burrow on 3rd and 5. Can he get there? Extra effort on that little twist at the end. It is enough. Robert Spillane got him down low. Bengals turnovers. Burrow steps up. Again, pressure. Burrow bounces out of trouble. Throws on the move. It's caught at the 35. T. Higgins with those outstanding hands, but he got his bell rung. Yeah, maybe check the Pirates schedule. 1st down. Burrow pats the ball, throws it on the line. Caught by Chase, sheds one tackler. 3rd down and 5 at the 30-yard line. They protect Burrow. Caught inside the 25 by the dependable Tyler Boyd. 2nd and 14. Burrow steps up, throws on the move. Nice hands. Chase. Finally brought down inside the 5. 3rd and goal. Burrow dials it up. Touchdown, Tyler Boyd. And the Bengals are back.
It's a perfectly placed ball, but he won this route, did Boyd, but Burrow won it with his read. Now Mixon back in the backfield.
So the shift for Mixon. Bengals looking for 2. Burrow, clutch, and delivers. Mike Thomas. Very recognizable confidence. Movement.
Could he have a free play?
Looks that way. Burrow, sliding grab at the 40-yard line. 30-yard line, trailing by 6. Burrow. Good catch and run. Grab by Mixon. 18 yards. Most of the NFL last season. Burrow keeps it himself. Huge gain for Burrow inside the 30. Burrow rifles right at the goal line. Jamar Chase just short. P. Ryan is in there. 34 seconds to go. Shotgun for Burrow. On time to Chase.
I think the ball's going to Jamar Chase.
4 seconds left. Burrow dials it up. Touchdown! Jamar Chase!
They turned it into a one-on-one route against Akilla Witherspoon, and the timing between Chase and Burrow, we've known it since LSU. It continues here at Cincinnati. Evident that ball's out of his hands on the break.
Burrow. Pump. Burrow tosses. Caught. Hayden Hurst goes upstairs to get it. They'll go empty here.
Well, I will say here that it was definitely a frustrating day if you guys were in Cincinnati, even at the game, and watching the Bengals and the Steelers. Welcome back here on the Throne with Justin right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. First game of the season, Pittsburgh Steelers defeat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20. And there is just it was very difficult, in my opinion, to watch this game. There was, and it started off right away. Joe Burrow got sacked, plenty of times. I mean, it was honestly ridiculous of how many times Joe Burrow was sacked yesterday. Just kind of reminded you of the postseason. And it almost made you think for a moment as if there was nothing going on, or that the Bengals didn't do anything this offseason with those offensive linemen. And I get it. Most of these guys, that's the thing. Going with all 32 teams, going with week one, there's the weather inclements and all that stuff plays into a factor. A lot of these guys haven't played a single snap all preseason. This week one is their official snaps, and you look at just the way that Joe Burrow was handled. It was a disaster. The offensive line looked terrible. You didn't have you relied on a lot of your younger guys to make the grabs. Because, I mean, here's the thing. Jamar Chase, 10 receptions, 129 yards, one touchdown. I mean, but you're really looking for you got to look for these other guys that you're slowly building. I mean, T. Higgins is only going to be there in the way, two receptions, 27 yards. Tyler Boyd scored a touchdown with 4 receptions. And then your running game also, you're looking for Joe Mixon to run. And this team, you're facing a really good defense at Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh defense. And let's give credit where credit's due. Pittsburgh defense is also something else. For you, when you look at the Steelers, and I apologize, early Monday morning trying to get into the swing of things. Listen, Pittsburgh didn't play that much of an offense. They only put up 20 points. Mitchell Trubisky, 21 for 38, an average quarterback, for his standard, 194 yards with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And, he's doing it with a lot of other guys. He was able to spread the ball around. Like I said, it wasn't a lot of offensive plays from Pittsburgh, but what Pittsburgh did is that they capitalized. You got to think about this. Joe Burrow went 33 to 53, yesterday with 338 yards. Yeah, that's a lot. And he threw twice as many yards as Mitchell Trubisky. But he threw two touchdowns. All right, twice as many as Trubisky as well. But he also threw 4 interceptions. Okay, I mean it's one of those things where week one's out of the way, the jitterbugs out of the way, and you're heading into Dallas, and this performance that you saw against Pittsburgh cannot happen again. It cannot happen again against a team that a division that people think you're supposed to be winning. A lot of people this year have the Bengals winning the AFC North, and I get it. It's only week one of the season, but I mean, losing week one for a team that's not supposed to lose is a little difficult to handle. It's not like your Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. It's not like if Tom Brady was, starting the season off 0-1. It is easy for teams to get behind as when you lose the first game of the season. And what I saw yesterday in the Steelers and Bengals game, I saw, the offensive line needed a lot of work. It felt like there was the same offensive line. Matter of fact, it felt like the offensive line was worse. All right, better than they were last year. Okay. You got a lot of younger guys, a lot of new faces in the receiving slots that you have to get comfortable with. Joe Burrow needs confidence, making those passes, not being rushed. You see, Joe Burrow, I don't want him to feel as if he has to carry this team on his shoulders. I don't. And then on top of that, you got you got a good defense. I mean that was it. I think it was an offensive mistake, and the team who makes the most mistakes loses. 4 interceptions, goes for none. Their long snapper went down, so you had to take up the backup tight end long snap for field goals, and that didn't work out. It was frustrating. It was as frustrating as watching the Padres playing because they're just consistently inconsistent. And I know that's probably early to say in week one. I'll probably get a lot of, heat for that. But, when you have a kicker, I mean, you don't want to put it all on the kicker, but he had multiple opportunities. And that's long slapper. I mean, when you miss the game-winning field goal, right? Because it was a game-winning field goal. When you miss the overtime field goal and you put the coach into a position where you have to go for it, where you need to get better territory because you just don't know what you're going to get out of your long snapper, then and you really put yourself up for failure because in the NFL you need to be able to make field goals better than anything else, and there was plenty of opportunities for field goals at the end of the game. So very disappointing. Pittsburgh headed on home to face the New England Patriots. And I just hope that this coming up week, it should really be a better week for the Bengals, especially knowing that now the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott's going to have surgery on his hand. All right, he's going to be out 6 to 8 months. Expected to have that a little later on this week. And, I don't know what the backup looks like. We'll dive into that later on this week. But, Joe Burrow has his work cut out for him. Both the Ravens, as a matter of fact, both the Ravens, the Browns, and the Steelers start the season off 1-0. And we'll talk more into that when we come back. When we come back, we also want to give you 5 takeaways from the Bengals and Steelers game, plus look at around the league, all on the NFL, and much more. All right, stick around. You guys are listening to the Throw In with Justin right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha. Go. Laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha. I got anything.
9:40 here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Throw In with Justin continues taking you guys right up until 11 o'clock a.m. And this hour of the program is given to you thanks to StreamYard Studios, the proud home of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Create your podcast YouTube channels, host virtual business meetings, and conduct your own interviews all through StreamYard.com. Check out their free version today. A little disappointed in the mood set for a Monday morning after the Bengals lost, and there was multiple mistakes on both sides, and even for the Steelers side, like I said, they weren't the greatest team on the field. I still felt that the Bengals were a better team that was put out there, and it felt like the Bengals were dominating the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though they were losing. And what that results were the simple errors that the Bengals made in the fact, just the complexity of not the amount of mistakes that you make. I mean, overall, whoever makes the least amount of mistakes are going to win the ball game, and that was proven yesterday between missed field goals and interceptions throughout the Bengals team. Throughout the Bengals side of possession, and Bengal, like I said, Steelers had their fair share too. They were leading 17-3 or 10-3 at halftime. They were leading at one point 17-3, finding a way to come back, and for the Bengals to come back, scoring a game-winning touchdown that was supposed to be a game-winning touchdown, that was taken away from them from a field goal, and then you led into overtime, and now this becomes an adrenaline rush, a marathon to complete this game. And the last thing you want to do is complete the game and finish tied, to begin the season, especially to begin against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, Mitchell Trubisky wasn't the greatest, but they also picked up their first win. Now, coming to it, there's a couple takeaways, that you can come out. Obviously, bad performance by coming at number one. Bad performance by Burrow. 4 interceptions. He threw. He had the most yards. The running game wasn't there, but the passing game there was, and that's because the Steelers notoriously good at the DBs. All right, just a terrible performance. Maybe the expectation got to him. Maybe he wasn't. He felt very uncomfortable, very unsettled. He was way off of his game, and just didn't seem like the Joe Burrow that we saw last season. All right, coming in at number 2, new look for the O-line doesn't seem to me much better. He got sacked a handful of times in yesterday's ball game. TJ Watt once again looking like he dominated, like he owned the Bengals offensive line. Just was not good. They need to fix that up. They went out there and they signed 3 top offensive linemen to help this crew out. They need to find a way to protect Burrow. On the positive side, all right, the defense dominated. Listen, defense for the Bengals looked much better than the offense than the defense for the Steelers. I think they were a little bit neck to neck, but it looked like the Steelers were the Bengals had a better defense on the field. Right? It was a simple fact that when you threw interceptions, you gave the ball right back to Pittsburgh in great territory. At number 4, the touchdown that wasn't. And this is a simple with the we're talking about the touchdown that was landed on the 1-yard line. Listen, first game of the season, everyone's going to have their ups and their downs, including the referees. I don't want to sit here and say that one touchdown play made or break this team, but it was the incompletion. Unbelievable. The Bengals blew it from a 1-inch yard line when they should have already scored the touchdown on the original catch. And we're talking about towards the end of the game where where Jamar Chase catches the ball at the far side of the field. It lands down and the referees got that called it at the 1 yard line. Coming at number 5, last but not least, man, you gotta hug a long snapper, man. I mean, Clark Harrison, to miss the end of the game, very devastating. Didn't give the opportunities to McPherson for the extra points, and this was a type of position where you don't expect to have second strings and third strings to long snap. And how often does a tight end in Mitchell Wilcock has really taken snaps at long snapper? You know what he's doing this morning? He's taken 1,000 snaps. And beyond that, I mean, there's a difference between in-game snaps to on just the practice snap on the sideline, because he was taking perfect snaps on the sideline, and just wasn't when it came down to the actual play, just wasn't well, man. He I think the long snapper situation, we're gonna have to figure for the Bengals. Are gonna have to figure that out. If that's gonna remain to be Wilcock, they're gonna have to figure something out with how he's gonna get better at what he's doing. Other than that, it's I think your field goal position is in jeopardy, not because of your kicker and Evan McPherson, but because the entire team that goes out there to protect and to make the extra point all possible is not complete. So my takes on the game, we'll talk a little bit about it a little bit later on this week. We'll probably have much more news and storylines. Like I said, Pittsburgh Steelers are headed home to face the New England Patriots, while Cincinnati's jumping on the road to Dallas and facing the Cowboys. And what's the good news is out of that is that you don't have Dak Prescott as your quarterback, as he went down last night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a game that Tampa Bay absolutely owned 19-3. And one interesting fact that I came into this note was that Tom Brady, first quarterback in NFL history to make a start at the age of 45. Never thought I'd see that coming. He could be the first quarterback to possibly make the start at the age of 50 if you really wanted to. But good pickup from the Buccaneers, who won last night. And we'll talk a little bit the Ravens. All right, we had the Ravens over in New York as we still approach the division, as we want to pay close attention each and every game during the division. Like I said, both the Ravens and the Cleveland Browns won their game, so the Bengals are the only NFL team in the AFC North that started the season off 0-1. Baltimore beat the Jets 24-9. Lamar Jackson handled himself very well, considering the fact that just the other day, I was going through this, just the other day, about yesterday, okay, Lamar Jackson turned down a 6-year deal for $290 million contract and roughly $160 to $180 million guaranteed per sources here. Lamar Jackson went 17 for 30 through 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Kenyan Drake, 11 carries, 31 yards. Rashad Bateman, 2 receptions, 59 yards, 1 touchdown on the day. And then you take a look, you head on over to Cleveland, Carolina, where, I really thought, for my opinion, take it for what it's worth, the Panthers, Baker Mayfield had an opportunity to show the Browns exactly just, what they were missing out with. He goes 16 for 27, 235 yards with 1 touchdown and an interception. Christian McCaffrey, 10 yards, 10 carries, 33 yards with 1 touchdown on the day for the loss. And for the Browns, you got Jacoby Brissett, 18 for 34, roughly about the same. No interceptions. This came down to also the amount of mistakes that was held. 147 yards for Jacoby Brissett, 1 touchdown. Nick Chubbs put the ball on the ground, 22 carries, 141 yards, no touchdowns. But Kareem Hunt, 11 carries, 46 yards, 1 touchdown. Helps the Browns win 26-24 against Carolina. So that is around your division. 3 teams start off at 1-0. One team, and that's the Bengals, starting off 0-1. And we have to look forward to next week. We still have the NFL continuing on opening week tonight, where Seattle Seahawks get to go into get to host Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. First game. We're hoping. I surely predicted that both scenarios, with Baker Mayfield over in Carolina beating the Browns, that didn't happen. I'm hoping that Russell Wilson could find something tonight and beat the Seattle Seahawks. And what's best is that's in Seattle, and that's looking forward tonight. All right. Listen, NFL's back, and that's great and all, and we're talking a lot about the NFL. But, this was out of the Reds that was, out of the Reds that fell 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee. And we'll talk more about that at the top of the hour. And with the Bengals losing, you're like, what is exciting to talk about in Cincinnati? Well, back on Saturday, the Cincinnati Bearcats demolished Kennesaw State Owls 63-10. And I think, with all due respect, after losing to Arkansas last week 31-24, I thought this was a very well needed win for Cincinnati. 63-10, total passing yards 293, 232 rushing yards for Cincinnati with a total yards 527. Bryant went 17 for 20, 201 yards throwing, 3 touchdowns. And they actually got a chance to throw in their backup quarterback in Evan Prater, who is a sophomore. All right. And he went 4 for 5, 92 yards, and it looked like a dominant win for a team who needed to pick up a victory. Still not enough to get them back in the top 25. Like I mentioned, I don't know if there's anything that's going to be able to get them in the top 25 for the remainder of the season. But, a lot of great college football games. We're just glad to see a win. Ohio State beat Arkansas State 45-12. Alabama had a close. Number 1, Alabama had a very close game against Texas in Texas. At one point, they were even losing for the fourth quarter comeback. They win 20-19. As we scroll down just to look at some of the list, game that really surprised me out of the most was Marshall beating Notre Dame 26-21. Notre Dame, it was number 8, and I don't see them ranked anymore. We'll get to that in a moment in the rankings. But they fall short 0-2 as Marshall is 2-0 to begin the season. Kind of just going through. Number 24, Tennessee beat number 17, Pittsburgh 34-27. Michigan State shut out Akron 52-0. Absolutely tremendous. Purdue also beat Indiana State 56-0. And this was, if you're a college football fan, this is what you enjoy. Sometimes are these blowouts here. Number 2, Georgia shut out Samford 33-0. And that leads us to the upcoming rankings. Now, this is provided to you. This is the AP Top 25 that is posted as of today, September 12th, 2022. And this is all on the CBSSports.com college football website. Georgia moves up to number 1 after that dominate game over the weekend. Alabama falls to number 2. Ohio State's number 3, and Michigan's number 4. As I mentioned earlier, I don't see any Notre Dame on this list. Oregon's sitting at number 25. Texas A&M falls short to number 24 in the rankings. Florida's sitting at 18. Arkansas has moved up to number 10. Kentucky is sitting at number 9 also. So they moved up 11 spots as they ended up beating Florida back on Saturday, 26-16. They're 2-0 on the season. All right, you have the talking about Kentucky. We'll talk about this a little bit more later on this week. Well, they'll be facing Youngstown State at 12 p.m. Noon on September 17th for their game 3. Tickets are available at $22 a piece. If you're in Cincinnati, taking a look at the upcoming game that we have for you for this Saturday is against Miami, Ohio. That kickoff will be at 12 p.m. also for that game. All right, we're reached the end of the hour number 1. We're getting a little rocky here on a Monday, so I'm going to take a step aside, take a break, and get to hour number 2. I want to talk about the Reds and how they played, and talk about the updating standings. And the reason why is a little bit more because Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina, and all Albert Pujols are making some big headlines as the pennant race continues. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Throw-In with Justin here. I'll take you guys up into 11. Hour number 2 comes right after this here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
He's got Friedel in a 3-2 count, and that one is in there. A called strike 3. So we start the day with a backwards K. There's a swing and a miss. He's got back-to-back Ks to start this game. Got a chance to strike out the side here in the first inning. And he does. Brandon Woodruff with the cheddar cheese.
Rowdy Tellez coming up now. Brewers in business. 2 on and nobody out.
And he sends that one down the right field line. That is going to bounce off the fence. Yelich scores easily. Adames going to be waved home. And the throw comes in late. Adames is in. Rowdy Tellez with a 2 RBI double. And the Brewers strike first this afternoon.
Reds could get a run back here. Lopez high in the air, down the right field line. Renfroe racing over. Out of our view, that's a fair ball. Fraley scores. Lopez up to second base. Reynolds chips into the air to right. Renfroe coming on, picking up speed. It falls fair. Lopez around third. He scores. Reynolds ties the game. It's 2-2.
See if Yelich can deliver here with 2 outs. He had a single to the opposite field his last time up. And he goes that way again. Base hit. Peterson is in. Yelich with a 2-out RBI single. 3-2 Milwaukee. Oh, that ball's hit hard. Way back. Willie is watching. This one is long gone. Willie Adames, 2-run home run. 5-2 Brewers.
All right, Rowdy Tellez is in there. He had a 2-run double his first time up.
That ball's hit hard down the right field line. That's got a chance. And it is up and out of here. Rowdy Tellez with a home run. A laser beam into the bleachers in right. Just as Adames had tied him for the club lead, Rowdy snatches it back. Makes it 6-2 Milwaukee.
Rowdy 2 for 2, home run number 29, back in that 4-run second inning for the Crew.
There's a drive. That's way back. And it is number 30 for Rowdy Tellez. Have a day, Rowdy. 3 for 3, a double and 2 homers. 4 runs batted in, and it's 7-2 Brewers.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and the pitch. Struck him out swinging with a beautiful changeup.
1 ball, 2 strikes, and down he goes. Woodruff with 10 Ks through 5 innings. Steer will reach on a leadoff single in the 7th. Now here comes Lopez now, the switch hitter.
Rips this ball to deep right. Renfroe looking up, and that is gone. The first big league homer for Alejo Lopez.
And now the Reds are in business in the ninth.
2-1. Grounded to third base. Peterson throws to first. Bouncer gets away. The Reds are within 2, and the tying runs are in scoring position with nobody out.
What does he go with? 1 and 2 the count. Game on the line. Williams deals. And a swing and a miss. He struck him out. The ball game is over. The Brewers win. Devin Williams finishes off the Reds.
All right, so not a great weekend here if you are a Reds fan. They lose 7-6 against Milwaukee. They also fell short 1-5 last Saturday night. They fall 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, and like I said, the case is trying to sabotage a team that is trying to go to the playoffs, and they it didn't work so well. They had a good series against Chicago, and it looked like for a moment they were going to have a good series against Milwaukee with a 8-2 win on Friday night, and it didn't work out that well. Couple fun things to look at when you look at Lopez's home run, and Reds are now moved to 56 and 82, fourth in the NL Central, and they get to come home tonight and kick off a 4-game series in 3 days against the Pittsburgh Pirates. You got Mike Minor on the mound tonight. First pitch is at 6:40 Eastern. Mike Minor, 4.10, who's 4-10 on the season, 5.70 ERA, and then you also have Bryce Wilson, who is 2-8. 6.11 ERA. Last pitch was back on September 7th. He went 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 strikeouts on a no decision for the Pirates. When you look at Mike Minor, who went out there last time back on the 7th against Chicago, he won the game. He went 5 2/3 of an inning, 10 hits allowed, 1 run, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. That is what we're looking at tonight. Like I said, they play a doubleheader tomorrow, wrap up a 3-game series on Wednesday, before they get to face the Chicago Cubs in a 5-game series that's coming up this week. You talk about not the Chicago Cubs, I'm sorry, St. Louis Cardinals. And you talk about the St. Louis Cardinals, and I think they make bigger news to going around than anything else because they picked up 2 of 3 against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, winning yesterday and a final score of 4-3, and also picking up their victory on Saturday 7-5. And so if you look at the current standings, they are currently sitting at 83 and 58, going to be above 500. And this is 15 consecutive years that these St. Louis Cardinals have been above 500. And it's no joke with how 15, the Cardinals win their 82nd game of the season, ensuring 15 consecutive winning seasons for the franchise. And it's crazy how the era, and we talk about this era, the era of Adam Wainwright, the era of Yadier Molina, and the era of Albert Pujols. Now, given Albert Pujols went to Los Angeles and played for the Angels for several years, it's very heartwarming to see him come back and finish playing. And I think, as much as we enjoy these send-offs, right? How much do we really enjoy, like, Big Ben Roethlisberger last year? Here's a prime example. He left, he retired, and finally hung up his cleats. And I, as much as you're a Bengals fan and love to see Ben go because he was a prick in the side whenever you had to face the Steelers and you hear, Ben's name, it was, you were uncertain about how the game was going to go because you just knew what type of energy Ben was going to bring and what type of dominance he carried. When you look at these three key guys, and I know that in a baseball team, just like in a football team, it takes the entire team. But when you look at these three guys, in Wainwright, in Molina, and in Pujols, I mean, they dominated the last 15 years, okay? Especially Molina and Wainwright against the Cincinnati Reds. And every time you hear Cincinnati, it was the era of Wainwright and Molina. And then, Albert Pujols was the big, Pujols was initially the replacement of Mark McGwire, who was always a dangerous name. So as these three guys depart this year, right, who are those next guys stepping up? And I don't know. Cardinals are always notorious to being a good team. They will find players. They will buy players. They will coach players and build them the Cardinal way. But obviously a franchise, you're finally seeing this year an end of an era for the Cardinals team. And as they make their case, they are 14 games from clinching the division. Now the Milwaukee Brewers are 8 games back of the Central, 75-66. And, you just want, I kind of feel in a sense that, last season in football, when the Steelers went to the playoffs, trying to give, I was satisfied for giving Ben Roethlisberger that last chance, that last opportunity before he rode off into the sunset. To see these three guys go back to the playoffs again and get that opportunity before they ride off into the sunset. I'm not saying that they're going to be able to win it all, but it's a storytelling finale if they could win it all. And so if you look, looking forward to something this big this weekend, Yadier Molina has passed Carlton Fisk for the second most starts at a catcher in MLB history. If you looking at that history coming in, he has taken that ranks here. Ivan Rodriguez with 2,346. He currently leads. Yadier ain't catching him up, but he sits at 2,098, where Carlton Fisk sits at 2,097. Bob Boone, 2,091. Jason Kendall, 1990. So there's a nice list for Yadier's resume. And I was just looking at Yadier's resume a little bit. I want to say this is as accurate comes, but they lead. They're about to lead. Yadi, with the combination of Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina, has 324 games started with each other as a pitcher and catcher combination, which you haven't really seen. These are guys. All right, what about they've surpassed? They have their own leaderboard in this category. Mickey Lolich and Bill Freehan. How old do you have to be to remember those guys? But it's just taking a look at the Cardinals history and everything going on there. Also, Albert Pujols over the weekend passes Alex Rodriguez for the 4th most home runs in MLB history, sitting at 697, trying to get to 700, which I think would be a remarkable thing by the end of the season. I have no doubt over the next 3 weeks that that he's going to be able to surpass the 700 mark. Right now, obviously Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds sits at 762. Hank Aaron 755. Babe Ruth is 714, and I think it's just to be able to be a part of the 700th club. You got guys like Alex Rodriguez who came close, and he had to hang it up. How hard is it for a player to hang up? If you're 3 home runs away, think about it. 3 home runs away from 700. If he doesn't get a home run the rest of the season, and the Cardinals ask him to come back for one more year, do you think he does it? Or you think he rides off into the sunset there? So, all right, let's step aside. I want to come back and give you the breakdown of the standings in the playoff picture and see how and where everything else looks moving forward. All right, we'll take you up into 11 right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. (10:18) here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. The Throw-In with Justin takes you right up until 11 o'clock here on a Monday morning. Have a lot to talk about, still yet to come. Like I said, tonight we have the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson will return in his first game out of Seattle, back to Seattle to face the Seahawks. How will that go? I just want the Reds have already are having a losing season. They're going to finish off with the losing season. And the best case scenario is finish off 82-82. And we know that is not going to happen. Like I said, the next thing is I want for pride. You look at the current division standings for the Central. And you look where the Cincinnati Reds sit. They're about a game, if not 2, behind the Chicago Cubs, who sit at 58-82. Like I mentioned here, 3 things to think about. You want to play for pride, right? You don't want to lose 3 games or 4 games to Pittsburgh. You don't want to lose to Chicago. And if you could kind of make it difficult for Milwaukee, possibly knock them out of the playoffs, or make it difficult for St. Louis, then do it. All right? I mean, the only other team outside the division that they have left to play this month is Boston. They're sitting in 9th place. About 6 games left to be eliminated from the division. They're 69-72 and 16 games back of the American League East. And that's next week. So you got to play your division. Why not finish off strong? There's something to work with for someone who can win, who can play their division extremely well. They're 59-79 against their division. Obviously you're not going to win each and every game. But I would like there to be, you have Chicago, it'll be in New York. Milwaukee and St. Louis has a 3-game series beginning tonight or tomorrow night, and I think it's the 3-game series. So why can't you go on to trying to just play a little bit of sabotage? As we take a look at the division, there's only one team this weekend that has clinched a playoff berth, and that is the Los Angeles Dodgers, sitting at 96-43. You kind of assume that they should have clinched it about a week ago. Those San Diego Padres keep lingering around, and now they are 3 games away, 3 wins away from clinching the National League West, and we could always already assume that the Dodgers have won the National League West with how far apart. And with the Padres, coming in, the Dodgers went to San Diego. All right, last weekend it was the Padres going to the Dodgers, and this weekend, was the Dodgers going to the Padres. And the same results. There was it is if you're a Padres fan, and I'm a Padres fan, it is frustrating to see that you can play well against other teams, but not against the Dodgers. It is really most frustrating part. Now, I mean, here's the thing with the Padres. Here's the thing about the National League West. Okay, you stand alone. The Dodgers about to win the division. The Padres are still in the hunt. They're 3 games out from the division, but they're still in the wild card. All right, with the Giants sitting at 67-73 in the division. The rest, the Giants, the Diamondbacks, and the Rockies are out of the National League West. Therefore, the only 2 teams that really have a chance in the wild card hunt are the San Francisco Giants, maybe the Arizona Diamondbacks in that division. I know this sounds confusing. Just bear with me. So as of right now, we look at the National League East while we're in the National League. New York Mets 89-52. The Atlanta Braves right behind them at 87. They lost 2. And we'll get into what coming games that are coming up here later on this week. Philadelphia is a game and a half above in the middle of the wild card. They hold the middle position at 78-62. And you take a look over in the and then the second wild card team is the Atlanta Braves, 10.5 games above. All right, take a look in the American League here real fast. No teams expected to clinch quite yet a playoff berth. Houston are about 12 games away from the division. I would assume that you can put them down in the marker for a division win, but Seattle's only half a game above in their wild card. Cleveland came in, took care of business, swept the Minnesota Twins over the weekend, and took that first place. They are 73-65. The Minnesota Twins are 69-70, currently sitting in third place. They're currently 4.5 games back. Chicago White Sox 2.5 games back at 72-69, looking to try to find their last legs getting in. The New York Yankees sit 5.5 games ahead of the Tampa Bay Rays. Toronto on the outside looking in. And looking for a wild card opportunity. All right, how the playoff picture looks as of right now. All right, start you off in the American League. Houston still up number 1, followed by the Yankees and the Guardians at 2 and 3. The half a game lead belongs to both Tampa Bay and Seattle, 70 both over the Toronto Blue Jays, who sit at the 3rd wild card spot on the season. Baltimore Orioles 5.5 games back. Chicago White Sox 7 games back. So things are winding down pretty quickly. Now, Toronto and Tampa Bay, they are in battle today, playing later on tonight. The Padres are over in Seattle, so they're playing the Mariners, which is going to be a challenge for themselves. And there's really, Boston over, New York's over in Boston, so that's going to always be a decent series, to believe it or not. But it's Baltimore over in Washington for a 2-game series against the Nationals tomorrow. Paying attention to that. If you're looking for a game in American League, it's going to be Toronto and Tampa Bay. Also keep an eye on Baltimore over there. Taking a look at the National League. Division leaders, the Dodgers clinching a playoff berth, looking to clinch a division win again, and as they head into Arizona, taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Their series begins tonight. The New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals, in that order. St. Louis being home to Milwaukee. The wild card positions look as follows. The Atlanta Braves 87-53, 10.5 games above the wild card. Philadelphia Phillies 78-62, a game and a half above, as the Padres sit at 77-64, right there at the markers. Milwaukee Brewers are 2 games back, 75-66, so they look to try to contend and get above the Padres by the end of the week. And it's not a walk through the park. It's not over yet. Games to look out for, like I said, Milwaukee's in St. Louis, San Diego's in Seattle. Those are the two games to really be noticeable. If you're following the East, you want to follow the Mets. They're hosting the Chicago Cubs, and the Atlanta Braves are in San Francisco. So nothing too spectacular there. So that's the current Major League playoff picture look as of today. If we're looking more towards, we'll give you a picture later on this week. Like I said, we're following the Cincinnati Reds. We'll be following the St. Louis Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers. I'll probably be tuning into that one because I feel like there's more depth on that. All right, let's step away. We're done with football. We're done with baseball. Let's get you ready into Monday Night Raw. What happened on SmackDown? How did the outcome of AEW Rampage turn out on Friday? What to expect this week? All more still to come as we take you up until 11 o'clock here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com. Golden Era by Mary Riddle is given to you this morning. Welcome back. We'll take you up until 11 o'clock in the morning here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Happy Monday to all. There's a couple of the highlights going around. Over in the PGA side, Lori edges McIlroy Rahm to win BMW PGA Championship. Scotty Scheffler named 2022 PGA's Tour Player of the Year. Over there on the PGA side. WNBA Finals, Las Vegas Aces outlast Connecticut Suns in Game 1. As we also look for the U.S. Open, Carlos Alcaraz, 19, tops Casper Ruud to win his first Grand Slam. Alcaraz becomes the second youngest player to win a men's U.S. Open title at 19, 128 days old. Also, NASCAR playoffs at Kansas. Bubba Wallace silenced doubters with second Cup Series win in Hollywood Casino 400. The NASCAR playoffs have now gone 2 straight weeks without a playoff driver winning. So that will continue. We'll talk a little bit more, dive a little bit more about that a little later on. And this week, coming up later on this week, what I think is going to be a good topic and something that I didn't get to today is looking forward into tomorrow. Baseball has issued 2023 rule changes regarding the shift, the time clock, and much more. We'll talk a little bit deeper about that. But, listen, let's take a look back at the previous week. Friday Night SmackDown kicked off. A lot to look out for here. When it comes down to Ronda Rousey returning, getting her number one contender shot again. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is the first match for Extreme Rules. It's Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's Championship. That's the first match I've seen advertised so far for that's coming up October 8th. Now, we still have some time. We have about a month away, but it will creep up right around the corner. Is Liv Morgan's time done? She's had a pretty nice run after the separation between her and Rhea Ripley. And these two women has really, they went down separate paths. I mean, Rhea Ripley is staying mostly on Raw. She's been dealing with the Judgment Day. And I think the Judgment Day works well for her character, for her persona, what she likes to do, what she's trying to do. And Liv Morgan has been able to capitalize, win the SmackDown title. I think it was this, she's kind of like the summer athlete in the women's category of professional wrestling this year. Is her championship run completed? Because Ronda Rousey coming back, there's a lot of things that you can still do, and there's new matches, new referees that are raising the stakes as we head into the to Survivor Series, as we head into the Royal Rumble, and even to next year's WrestleMania. So as we start planning, because that's the key thing right now, is that time. I believe firmly that I say about Survivor Series is the time that you start planning the road to WrestleMania. It starts off there. There's at least one or two stories that you should take away from Survivor Series that can lead you up to WrestleMania, right? So that's what I look towards. And my question is as we head into Survivor Series, as we head into next year and heading into WrestleMania, do you see Liv Morgan on top or do you see Ronda Rousey on top? Because one of the biggest matches that I want to see is Ronda Rousey taking on Shayna Baszler. I know there's been some talk about that. I know they've been coexisting with each other, but these are two former fighters that get to square off in the ring. And I think it will bring the best out of Shayna Baszler. Now, Shayna Baszler hasn't been her, the same dominant female fighter that she has been since she got brought up from NXT. Is about time to see it. Now, I thought maybe you could bring the best out of her when it came down to Nia Jax. Obviously, Nia Jax, departed with WWE and she's off to her own other things. But I truly believe, in my opinion, that Ronda Rousey could bring the best out of Shayna Baszler. And I think it's time to see it. I mean, there's careers out there that the WWE brings in talent. All right, the WWE brings in athletes that are in their mid 30s, 40s. I mean, look at Shinsuke Nakamura. I was reading an article this weekend about Shinsuke. All right, it was talking about the WWE and Triple H liking his work, liking what he's done inside the ring, wanting to give him a push, whether it's at the end of this year, beginning of next year, and actually give him noticed. And how many times and how many athletes are sit there? And he's sitting at 46 years old. Shinsuke Nakamura is 46 years old, and he's now getting a push in the WWE. And he's been in the WWE for at least 5-6 years now. Robert Roode, he's in his 40s. There's some athletes in their upper age. Okay, not everyone could wrestle until they're 50, and the wrestling gods have worked and given Shinsuke Nakamura the opportunity to continue to be wrestling in his 40s. But I mean, there are athletes up there that are probably at the end of their career that have not yet been recognized, and I think it's time. We looked at last night on Friday. We looked at the Brawlers Brutes taking on Imperium in a 6-man tag match. We just got done watching an incredible fight. Okay, and I mean sometimes you just need to see a good brawl. We just got done seeing an incredible brawl between Gunther and Sheamus at the Clash of the Castle, which I thought that was an amazing match. And I think I saw one of the best 6-man tag matches in WWE over the last decade. And these guys are getting very physical. They're very, and it's entertaining to watch. And I've never been entertained to watch these 6 men in a ring compete with each other. It's something special. You got my eyes glued to the TV, to the big screen. Now, I guess every good thing has its bad flaw. I guess my thing coming out of it is I don't want to see, this go on for the next 6 months, right? Like we saw with the Brawling Brutes and the New Day. Let's spice it up. Let's change it. Let them face other teams as well. I know the tag team division is not the greatest shape, but let's work on building that. I think the one way that you start building in that is start throwing two people in together. Start throwing, just random tag matches together and start making that circle. Sometimes it doesn't have to make sense in order to make it sense. But yeah, so Ronda dominates her the field in the WWE to get herself into a match at Extreme Rules. Braun Strowman came, and like you said, his presence was known coming out of heading into SmackDown, saying that he was going to be there. He came in and he destroyed the Alpha Academy. Now, I'll be honest with you, I'm not necessarily too big. I don't know. Maybe for me, it feels like Braun Strowman being on SmackDown and for what he did was a bust. I didn't really see nothing more from him, and maybe he wants to come in for the next few weeks and dominate. But what is his first big challenge? I think I think the way that the WWE is trying to hold off on, maybe they're trying to hold off on Braun and Roman until maybe Survivor Series. I don't know the game plan. I'm not going to try to predict the game plan. But I don't want a monster among men roaming around the WWE, just annihilating anyone he sees just for the hell of it. If he's coming back and he's coming back to make a point, he should come back and make a point at the championships dispense, which I think a lot of people want to see. Maybe the timing's not right, but maybe find a feud in between then, just because. We head into a couple other interesting things that we see here on SmackDown. At least I liked. We saw more. Karrion Kross basically chokes out Drew McIntyre. And this was to end SmackDown. I really enjoyed this. I am finally enjoying the fact that the WWE has something to do with Karrion Kross, and this was a guy who's been very, very talented, has a lot of success outside the WWE, and it just needs that little opportunity window, and he has it. And I think this with Drew McIntyre, he's a great opponent. Taking him into Extreme Rules, hopefully Survivor Series. I think this will be a great this is a great opportunity to build him, and I know fans are already behind it. The biggest thing coming out of SmackDown, and I got to do this before I cut to my last break. All right, the biggest thing coming out of SmackDown is Solo Sikoa initiating his entry into the Bloodline, being accepted. No Roman Reigns. All right. We'll see how that goes. I wonder if there's going to be a little tension between Solo and Roman Reigns. I can kind of feel that. And I guess my other question to SmackDown or to the Bloodline is, realistically, you have Solo Sikoa. How long are you keeping Sami Zayn? I know he's your pawn. I know he's going to do your dirty work and try to basically take the heat for you on everything that you do. But how long do you really see Sami Zayn as part of the Bloodline? I mean, at the beginning, it was fun. It was interesting. It was new. But coming up, but now, now Solo coming up. They're establishing themselves. I think you could kind of maybe. I don't want to keep Sami Zayn. For me, I think it's a waste of time. But all right, we got to take our last break of the show. When we come back, we'll talk about a little bit of Rampage Dynamite, what happened between Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara, plus to what look forward to this week in professional wrestling. All still to come, taking you up until till 11 here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. If you guys like today's episode, be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Press those notifications. Don't miss any episode. If you miss anything, you guys can go back in and listen to us again. If you guys are on the road, take you guys on the road wherever you guys go by listening to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and much more. To search The Throw-In with Justin for more information. All right, crazy week. Wrapping up last week after the fallout of All Out, AEW's pay-per-view. And we head right back into things when it comes down to Rampage. they had to make a Grand Slam tournament after stripping the AEW championship away from CM Punk, and now you had that tournament that took place back on Wednesday. You had Hangman Page taking on Bryan Danielson, and Danielson advances, and he'll be facing Chris Jericho this week. And I'm back on Friday. Darby Allin went one-on-one to face Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin basically came out and said, "Hey, listen, I don't need Sting by my side. I'm gonna do this on my own." That's what I love about Darby Allin. That's what I'm enjoying. It's because he's coming into his own, and I don't need to see Sting at ringside for him all that well, anymore. But taking on, Sammy Guevara, he should be able to do the same thing by himself. And I was a little disappointed, in how everything went. But Sammy Guevara picks up the victory thanks to Tay Mello, who has definitely had her hand involved. They used Sammy Guevara used the skateboard with Darby Allin, and now Sammy Guevara is headed on to face Jon Moxley this week, because coming up next week, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's next week, is the Grand Slam, AEW's Grand Slam. We also saw Claudio defend his Ring of Honor championship against Dax Harwood. Incredible match. Claudio comes away with the victory. Samoa Joe, on this case, he also comes out, and Ring of Honor champion gets reactions from Sterling, who wants a match for that Ring of Honor championship. And apparently it's going to happen next week in Buffalo. It's going to happen next week in Albany. So this week in Albany, we'll put it that way. So some upcoming impressive matches still yet to come. Like I said, Grand Slam round 2. Like I said, Danielson and Jericho, Guevara, and Moxley, and then also expected to see Samoa Joe in action against Sterling for the Ring of Honor championships. If I missed anything, probably have. Just let me know. We'll talk a little bit more about it when closer to come. But what are we looking for this week in the world of professional wrestling? And this is where I start off with WWE is on the road to Extreme Rules. They're about a month out, and when we kick things off with Monday Night Raw, you have I think one of the I what I'm looking for this Monday Night Raw is to see the aftermath between Loomis and The Miz, and and also you could probably expect or anticipate Braun Strowman in there. What's next for Bobby Lashley after defeating The Miz? Are we going to see Loomis? I think we're also going to see Johnny Gargano in action, and Dexter Loomis and The Miz. I like to see that story keep on spiraling, and I'm excited. I think this watching Raw tonight is probably a key to understand what the tables are going to be like headed into Extreme Rules. And even if they don't make matches for Extreme Rules quite yet, I think there's a lot that can be said, because there's a 3-hour impactful show, and now you have a lot of things to look forward to. There are not only things that we look forward to, right, from what happened last week, but there's things that we look forward to just because they're already planned for this week. For example, we don't know what's going to happen between Loomis and The Miz. We don't know what's going to happen. Braun Strowman has not made an announcement of showing up tonight. Okay. What do we do know? We know that Damage Control is aimed to take all the gold, just like Toxic Attraction. I don't know if that's going to be very well perceived or very well successful, but that's what their intentions are. we know that Dominic Mysterio stands with the Judgment Day, and he will be facing Edge tonight on Raw. We know that Johnny Gargano is supposed to be in action on Raw tonight against who? I'm unaware. And then so there is plenty of action. Plus, like I said, your U.S. champion Braun Strowman, or probably Lashley, is supposed to, is still running the reins. And I don't know if you're going to see the Bloodline on Raw tonight. I highly doubt it. All right, but there are now steps. What I am enjoying about Monday Night Raw, SmackDown is that now you can see that there are storylines being created, and there's different segments that cover different storylines. And it's like, all right, now you got to watch it to see exactly how these storylines unfold. All right, same thing when we head on to SmackDown. So when I'm looking for the WWE, I'm very intrigued to see Edge versus Dominic Mysterio. I think that's going to be a great match, and I'm glad to be able to talk about it tomorrow with you guys. I want to see what happens with Braun Strowman. He's been back for a week. What is his path in the WWE now? Is it for that WWE championship, and does he get that opportunity, or does he have to go through someone else in the meantime before he gets that opportunity? The bloodline grows. Solo Sikoa becomes a member. I want to see what Drew McIntyre's response is after being put to sleep from Karrion Kross. So there's a lot to look forward to on SmackDown. Also at AEW, as we have the Grand Slam tournament continuing this week. All right. I think Sammy Guevara and Jon Moxley, probably not one of my favorites. We'll talk more about that Wednesday. And then let's not forget what's going on. Don't forget Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho. I think that's going to be my more favorable match to watch out for. I'll talk about that Wednesday. And then I also want to know what more about, so people are suspended, right? Apparently there's supposed to be now an investigation due process. What is that going to be like? Are they going to share all that with AEW? You think, there's content going on behind, there's stuff going on behind stage, right? Behind the curtain. How much is AEW going to give us about that? And who's going to be all involved? Is that a business move that you decide, hey, yeah, let's bring their problems out here and make it known to everyone, because everyone knows the truth anyways. So we'll see how they use, Tony Khan last week came out, made the suspensions to a handful of athletes. They had to strip the titles away, guys including like Punk and Omega and the Young Bucks, and now Punk's going under the knife again. So we will see. I want to see more on what's being done, and I love seeing the action to go a part of it. So a lot going on this weekend. Just getting started here on Monday. We'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday. We'll be off Thursday, and then return on Friday. If you guys have any comments, you guys want us to talk about a certain subject or anything going along, you guys check us out. Don't forget football tonight, Monday Night Football, first Monday Night Football of the season, the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. And let's not forget, last but not least, we have the Cincinnati Reds kicking off a 4-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That all begins tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Throw-In with Justin. We'll be back tomorrow, and you guys are listening to the Throw-In here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. You guys have a great rest of your day.